Thank you for your interest in the Retained Recruiter show powered by iIntro. Before the show starts, I have a small favour to ask of you. Our goal is to provide you with the most insightful, helpful and practical recruitment knowledge and know-how from the best in the recruitment industry. If you like this channel and enjoy watching our content, hit the subscribe button to get notified as soon as we upload a new episode. Thank you again, and as ever, we're rooting for your success. Now, time for the show.
Hi everybody and welcome to the Retained Recruiter show. My name is Jo and you'll notice this is not James, although still beginning with a J, so that's good. So we're sort of keeping it in the alphabet family. James isn't with us this week, so he's left it all to me, and I thought, well, you know, who better to bring onto the show than Jem. So welcome, Jem Bevan from Social Jems.
Yeah, I might have a little bit more hair than James, just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit. He'll be sat listening now with like massive hair envy. So let me tell you about Jem. I mean, if you don't know Jem, then you've been living in a cave for the last few years. Me and Jem have known each other for absolutely years. But for the last, how many years have you been founder of Social Jems for now? Is it 12 years, 13 years?
Well, so LinkedIn, I've been doing LinkedIn for about 12 years. Social Jems is 6 this year in October.
So that's amazing. So for the last 6 years, Jem has been founder of a brilliant organisation called Social Jems. So Social Jems is social media, marketing, training and lead generation. And what this lady does not know about LinkedIn is probably not worth knowing. So we're going to pick Jem's brains over the next 30 minutes. If you do have any questions, I know we've got quite a lot of people who are watching today. So if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. I'm going to keep one eye on that as we go through. And people were knowing, Jem, that you were coming on this show. So as I've been running coaching sessions and speaking to business owners this week, they've been posing questions for you. So I know we've got quite a lot to go through. So we need to be kind of rapid fire. One of the things I really like about you, Jem, and your tagline on LinkedIn is literally just a dork, obsessed with social media, trying to help others find their way. You're massively genuine, but you are super geeky as well. Like, you know everything about LinkedIn, all the new things. So we're going to talk a bit about that today as well. So welcome. Thank you for agreeing to come on. Is this your third time? Is this a hat trick now?
Do you know, it might be third or fourth. I can't remember.
We'll have to have a look. I think you've literally been in. So this is our 83rd show now, I think. So I think you've literally been sort of beginning, middle and end, which is fantastic. And hopefully you'll come back on again as well. So let's start off by, talking about the main thing, really. What's hot on LinkedIn at the moment? And then question 1B will be what's not hot on LinkedIn anymore. So I'll hand it over to you for that one.
So I think everyone will probably notice that over the last couple of months, LinkedIn's been a little bit all over the place, rather than anything else. So there's not technically one thing that's hot right now. Everyone's seeing that their impressions and the levels of views, likes, comments is all over the place. Some days they're getting 150 views on impressions on a post, but it's reaching 15, 16 likes, which is normally unheard of. You'd expect it to have reached a lot more by then. So there's a lot of things that are actually affecting content right now. One being the new things that LinkedIn are dropping and launching onto the platform. That usually has a knock-on effect on the algorithm. LinkedIn have changed slightly how they're ranking content. So actually they want value pieces, knowledge pieces. So pieces like that will get a little bit more traction right now. But again, it might be affected by the fact of other things being dropped onto the platform, still having a negative impact. So don't look at your stats right now, but don't look too hard into them because there's so much different things that are actually affecting it. So your knowledge pieces do quite well. Your graphic, your images where it's a picture of you still does well. Video impressions are a little bit, again, all over the place, but that's because LinkedIn are changing that video again. So they're going to be launching top video trends onto LinkedIn. So actually when that happens, video content is going to be pushed a little bit more. Video content is now also being pushed out to more of your second and third degree connections. So it's a great way to get in front of people that don't know you as well. Okay. But I just want to point out in terms of this, with your impressions, just think of everything that is affecting it right now. If you're not doing enough engagement, commenting and liking on other people's posts, that's going to affect it. Make sure you're online 15 minutes before that post goes out.
Yeah.
Think about things like the algorithm changes, all this new stuff that's being launched by LinkedIn does have a knock-on effect on the platform. Then it's the kids' holidays. So in the kids' holidays, naturally traction on LinkedIn is lower anyway, because there's less people online. I know not every person on the planet is a parent, and I appreciate that, but it is still holiday season, and holiday season means that a lot of businesses are on skeleton staff. When they're on skeleton staff, they're doing more in the business, so they've got less time to log on to things like LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was starting to plan my strategy for the next 6 weeks to make sure I'm getting as much traction on content as I possibly can, I'd actually be focusing on that little bit lighter content. So I'd add some knowledge pieces in and talk to people about who I am, what I do, how I can help, cover those key objections that you might come up across, the questions that people ask when they first get in contact, cover that in some content, but also talk about what's the 6 weeks like for you. Is it quieter in terms of business? What do you do when it's quieter? Do you catch up on other stuff? Are you doing the juggle yourself? Are you trying to manage kids in a business? What's it actually like? Because sometimes we overthink things and think, oh, talking about that and talking about the fact that I'm juggling kids is detrimental. But actually, the majority of the population, it's relatable. They're doing exactly the same thing as you right now, and actually seeing something that says, this is what I'm doing right now, to them just screams that they're seen. And the more they get involved in that type of conversation, because it's something that they're dealing with themselves too.
Yeah. And that's very sort of like here and now and in the moment kind of, I hate the word, but I use it about 100 times a day, that kind of organic content. And never undervaluing that if you're thinking something, there's a great chance that there's quite a lot of other people thinking it, or if you're seeing something, there's probably other people that are seeing it as well. I want to talk to you about content in a bit, actually, because we get so many questions around what should I actually be posting, and not just on LinkedIn, but if I'm doing any kind of sales outreach, where it doesn't matter on the method or the platform, but what sort of content should I be posting? So I'll talk to you about that in a bit. You keep mentioning some new stuff that LinkedIn is doing. Is there any sort of like insights you can give us on new stuff they're dropping in or new things they're launching?
Yeah, so that top 10 trending videos section, that's going to be new. We've also got, so everyone, including free accounts, have got new updated analytics. So actually, if you go to your profile on LinkedIn, scroll down to the analytics section, you'll see it's a little bit more in depth now than it used to be. So what I particularly like in this is that search section, which will tell you how many times you've actually come up on LinkedIn. That's broken down now, so you can actually see where those searches are coming from, where people are actually finding you on LinkedIn. And actually, when you look into that, you'll see that the majority is comments more than anything else. So quite a large, so if we look at mine as an example, I looked at this yesterday when I was doing a training session with someone. About 20% came from content. About 70% came from comments. And then the rest was organic searches, people looking for keywords that I'm going to come up in, and recommendations from a network.
Right. Interesting.
So it does break all that down, so you can actually see now just how important that engagement piece is and how much it actually plays a part in people looking for you and looking more into you on LinkedIn. So what tends to happen is when someone actually sees one of your comments on LinkedIn, it sparks interest. So they'll go back and actually look at your profile. So when we're talking about, because I know we're going to be talking about different types of content and what's doing well later on, but the comment section is just as important as the content that you're creating. And not everything that you do needs to be buy my stuff, selling yourself over and over again. Actually, just talking about you, who you are, what matters, getting involved in other people's conversations like that. It's all driving traffic back to your page. And as long as your page is optimized and telling people who you are and what you do, then all those comments, even though they're not directly selling, are still selling, because we're still directing people to find out who you are and how you can help.
Yeah.
There's also as well, in terms of, sorry, I'm still on, and there's so much new stuff at the minute, Joe. So in terms of the comments section, you can now actually see the impressions that you're getting on those comments.
Really?
So you can actually see how many people have viewed that comment. So some comments that I've made this week have reached over 2,500 impressions. One of them was literally someone just talking about their kid having the entrepreneurial streak because they're a business owner, they see it and they've started doing stuff. My comment was literally, Charlie started selling Lucasade at school. He's made his first 100 this year, but I feel like his sales are going to tank it next 6 weeks. And that was literally the comment. But off the back of that comment, that many people have seen it, and people will have gone and checked out my profile off the back of it.
Yeah, yeah.
You can also see in terms of the impressions on a post now, who's your profile off the back of that post and who's followed you off the back of that post. That's available on standard accounts and paid accounts. On paid accounts, the breakdown is a lot deeper. So you'll see not only who's followed, who's checked out your profile off the back of that, you'll see the top demographics. So you'll see the job titles of those individuals, the locations, and the top companies that they're working at too. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot more of a breakdown. So you can see that your content is really hitting your ideal target market. And if it's not, you know that you can change it because you can literally break down all of it now. Whereas before we were working to some extent blind.
Yeah. So just remind me, for anyone who's listening who doesn't know where they can find this, how would you go about finding all of this data, these analytics?
So when you go to your profile on LinkedIn, if you go view profile, so click on the little image of yourself in the corner, scroll down a little bit, just underneath where your profile picture is, your tagline, there's an analytics section. If you click into there, there's then the search side in there that'll show you the breakdown of where people have found you on LinkedIn and the posts. So if you go to the same section, again, click the icon with the picture of you, scroll down your profile, go to the section where it says comments and posts. If you click into the post on that thread, it'll actually show you underneath the impressions. Click into that impressions and it'll show you all this breakdown in there.
That's really valuable information, I think. And because you don't know what's working or not unless you check your data. And I'm amazed at how many people don't check the data and use that to help them to become better. So I think that's really valuable.
It also helps with your strategy as well, Joe, like going forward, because actually the top performing content, and it's not just all top performing content. So anything where you're talking about something that's relatable to everyone on LinkedIn, of course, that's going to get more traction. And having bits like that scattered in between talking about business, how you can help, your knowledge, testimonials from clients, it's always a good idea because those posts will be seen by a wider proportion of people. Yeah. So it'll drive more second and third degree connections who may not be aware of you to your page, which will then mean that more people are actually seeing those sales posts when you do it in the future. But actually looking at those sales posts, although the traction of them is going to be lower, actually look at that traction. So is out of your sales posts, you've got on a personal post, you've got 100 likes as an example. The top likes you've got on a sales post is 50, but actually that's really good. So let's look at that 50 and let's actually see what that topic is, what type of format that post was in. Was it an image? Was it a carousel? Was it a video? Because we know, actually, let's look at that even more. Is it the content and the type of content? Let's look at those types of content and are they actually performing better? Is that what my target audience wants to see? Or is this a topic that people are actually interested in? Let's look at the comments to see. Because if it is, then it's worth me posing this question and talking about this again in a different way in a couple of months' time.
Yeah. Okay, good. I have one question about that, and then I want to move on to when you were talking about comments. So actually commenting on other people's posts as opposed to posting. So my comment is around content. I read your newsletter this morning. So Social Jems has got a great newsletter that you can subscribe to. You can find Gem and Social Jems on LinkedIn, or you can copy that down. That's on the top of the screen now. It's a Calendly link, so you can actually book some time with Gem if you want to just have a chat with her about your social media strategy and your LinkedIn strategy. So one of your newsletters today was about to trend or not to trend. So should I be jumping on the bandwagon of trending content, or should I be trying to go out on my own and create my own content? So what are your thoughts on that?
Does it matter to you? If it does, then go for it. Go and post about it. If it doesn't matter to you, don't, because you're causing a disconnect. You're starting conversations about things that don't actually matter. So then when people meet you at a networking event and pull up that conversation and go, oh, that post that you did, and start talking to you about it, all of a sudden they're like, well, you sounded like you give a shit on LinkedIn. Now all of a sudden you're standing in front of me and you've not really got anything to say. So if it matters to you and it's something that you're passionate about as a person, go for it. If it has no effect on your life and you have absolutely no opinion on it whatsoever, leave it alone.
Yeah. Okay, good. That is good. Good advice. Right. Next thing. So one of the things you said earlier on was that commenting can actually gain you more awareness and exposure and lead generation than posting. So just explain what you mean by that, and why that is now very important in the wonderful world of LinkedIn engagement as well.
So LinkedIn now, they want to create communities. In order to create communities, people need to be commenting, liking, sharing knowledge, helping each other. So they'll promote and value your profile more if you're actually engaging with other people. So when you're posting, actually that post is going to be reached by more people by doing so. They also do, just because it's worth mentioning, again, in terms of the content that you're creating, so actually having a different variation of content. So what I'm talking is like carousels, videos, polls, everything. Again, those type of profiles are ranked higher as well because you're adding more value to the platform. Now, when you're actually putting comments on people's posts, what you're doing is you're telling LinkedIn's algorithm, I like that person. So LinkedIn's algorithm is automatically going to assume that they're going to like your stuff too. So what you're doing by putting these comments on is not only are you telling LinkedIn, hey, I'm adding value, push me out, but you're actually saying, these are people I like, they're going to like me. So you're pushing your content when you create out into their news feeds. When you're actually putting these comments onto people's posts as well, you're also driving traffic back to your profile. So you're inadvertently selling. You're telling people who you are and what you offer, but in a way where you're just giving back, having a conversation. So when I'm doing training with anyone and I'm talking to them about that engagement piece, the example that I always give is networking. And when you're at a networking event and you meet someone in person, your instinct reaction is never to just walk up to someone and go,
yeah, I saw this. How great is this?
How many of these do you actually want? No one does that. They'll literally walk up to them and go, how's your day been? How's business? How was the journey down? Did the kids get to school okay? We'll talk to people about absolutely anything to build a rapport, so then we can naturally guide that question down to talk to that person about the exact thing we want to talk to them about. But we know the key part in that is building some form of rapport and trust, and the way to do that is by talking to them. So effectively, that's what you're doing with LinkedIn. You're networking, you're creating small talk, you're trying to build a relationship with this person so that when you do try and talk to them about the things that you can help with, they're more susceptible to responding. You also find as well, like say you've got 10 top companies on your list that you want to work with, and you spend the next 2 weeks actually going and making sure that you like and comment everything that's posted from that company page, and anything that's liked and commented from the individuals that are decision makers in that business, and then jump into their inbox in 2 weeks' time and go, I was doing your recruitment. Now, under any normal circumstances, if you've not done all that bit before, people would go, pushy salesperson jumping in my account, not knowing what's going on in my business. But actually, you've just shown that you're supporting them. So they actually feel like they owe you something back, and they're more likely to respond to that because they've seen you popping up in the news feeds. They know it's not just been a blind sale message, that actually you've been actively trying to get noticed and show that you want to support them with more than just their recruitment for a few weeks beforehand.
Yeah, which is a bit more of a slow burner, but the return on investment is so much greater. And I think we have a very kind of like instant gratification mindset about stuff. You know, we want to do something and see the net result of it absolutely there and then. And I see that a lot in business development. You know, the business development, the clue is in the title. You're developing a business relationship. It's going to happen over a series of touch points, a series of conversations. So absolutely a social media strategy, if you're using it to develop business or if you're using it to generate candidates, because it's the exact same thing, should start with these softer touches. And also, I suppose then when you then do decide that you're going to message them, you've got all this market intel that you can talk to them about, you know, oh, I've seen that post on this, I liked your article on that, congratulations on that new location you've got, all that kind of stuff. And do you think that's probably one of the best ways to cut through the white noise? Because my inbox, I don't know about yours, but my inbox every day, I don't even pay attention to my inbox anymore, because I just know it's full of people trying to sell to me.
I do. And I think you've got to think it is that touch point part. So instead of them just seeing a message in their inbox, they're actually seeing, has checked out my profile, has commented on this, has liked this. So your name's coming up in their newsfeed all the time. I also actually found that when I worked in business development myself, that actually people were more susceptible to answering phone calls when I cold called them, because of all the stuff that I was doing on LinkedIn. Because they'd literally sit there going, I know that name.
Yeah.
I don't know why I know that name. So they'd be more inclined to actually speak to me. There was another point I was going to make as well, and it's just completely gone out of my head.
It'll come back.
The relationships part. So I think it's important to actually mention, because I've worked with a lot of recruiters on LinkedIn, and a lot of them do want that. I want the win straight away. But actually, if we're building it over a long period of time, we're showcasing to people with the content that we're creating, who we are as a person and what matters to us, where his knowledge is and why people should be working with us, and doing the same thing in the comments. You're building rapport and you're building a relationship before you've even had a one-to-one conversation with that person. So actually that relationship's stronger. It's a stronger bond. So instead of it just being someone that you've contacted at the right moment accidentally, when you've blasted out 5,000 messages, actually this person likes you, knows you, and trusts you already. So if you did ever, because we all occasionally do, because we're human, actually they're more susceptible to be like, it happens, you're human, rather than I'll go work with someone else because they're clear the job, because they've bought into you as a whole rather than just the service that you offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so next question. A lot of the stuff you're talking about doing, it's very organic. It's stuff that could be done in little pockets of time every day, has that aggregational effect over a period of time. At no point have you really spoken about this being a paid for account. So it's not just restricted. All this stuff is literally, you could be doing this from a basic account. So talk to me about paid for and free accounts. And because I know that there's changes that are coming as well, aren't there?
Yeah, so there's lots more changes that are being dropped by LinkedIn, but they are safe. They are like guarding quite a lot of it now and saying, well, actually the people that are paid accounts are going to get more. So they're trying to give incentives to people to actually pay for the account. Makes complete sense. Now, personally, I'm a massive advocate of the sales nav accounts. They're about 70, 80 quid, depending on where you are in the UK. The prices do vary slightly, or in the world, to be honest, because there is international people on this call as well. But with something like that, so Sales Nav as a whole, if we just look at it as a basis, that platform itself actually enables you to create LinkedIn and to turn LinkedIn into a giant CRM system. So it's a separate application. You can say all these people are my ideal target market. Then you can save them as a lead list. You can put notes in it like you would a standard CRM system. And the newsfeed that you see there will only be people that you've saved as people you want to work with, rather than anyone. So what that also does is, say you've only got 15, 20 minutes a day to actually dedicate to getting involved in other people's conversations on LinkedIn. If you've got something like Sales Nav, all of a sudden those 15, 20 minutes that you spend it on LinkedIn, hiccuped, are completely strategic, because you know every single person that you're engaging with is someone that you can work with. Now, in terms of the extras and added extras that you get, I mentioned about the analytics side. So when you're actually looking at the post and the analytics in the post, on a paid account, you won't just see who's viewed your profile, who's followed you off the back of it. You'll see the demographics of that. So you'll see job titles, you'll see locations, you'll see the top 10 companies from that list. So it's giving you a really good insight into who you're actually reaching and are they the right people. On the banners, so you may have noticed that some people on LinkedIn now have a slideshow as a banner.
Yeah.
Instead of it being just one image, it's flicking through a few. That again is something that you can only add if you're a LinkedIn Premium member. The search capabilities on standard LinkedIn, it will stop you from doing searches after you've done so many in a month if you're on a free account. Searches are unlimited and in more depth on Sales Nav. So I'm sure most people will be like aware of like Boolean searches. Through Sales Nav, you can do Boolean searches and really strip it down, really narrow it down and make sure you're hitting the right people. There's also things that you can do where it says people who've posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. So when you're creating these lists, you're also making sure that when you're pressing a button like that, that they're active users of LinkedIn. So every single connection, message, anything that you're doing, you know, is going to an active member of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We've also now added in that section some new buttons. So things like who's viewed your profile, who's following your company page. Now, I've set up 2 campaigns myself on this, just pure outreach, because I know that these individuals are, if they've checked out my profile, they may have needed something. So a lot of us will do this. We'll be on LinkedIn, we'll see a comment, it'll spark interest, we'll go and check out that person's profile and we'll go, I didn't know they did that. I need to talk to them about that. And then all of a sudden your phone rings or one of the kids screams for a snack because we're in 6-week holidays. We bugger off and it doesn't cross his mind again for another couple of months. So actually by just dropping into someone's inbox and saying, I saw you recently checked out my profile, just thought it was worth seeing if you needed anything. No worries if not, but if you don't ask, you never know.
Yeah.
By actually posing it in that way, you using the key part is social. People forget because it's LinkedIn, they think it's got to be corporate. It's not, it's a social media platform. So actually talking in the way in your messages like you would speak in person, and it's the same with your content and your comments. That's why it's so important, because obviously it removes that barrier of this person's trying to sell to me. It's they're just being nice and friendly. And actually off the back of that, I've arranged 2 calls this week because people have come back to me and then gone, I did want to talk to you, Jem.
This is great. So I'm assuming that obviously we can use all of this for business generation and lead generation, but you could use it for candidate generation as well, because all the same principles apply, don't they?
They do. It is with the candidate attraction side, with the Sales Nav, it is a little bit harder because it doesn't enable you to pinpoint certain like skills, experiences, things like that. And the Boolean search, when you do it that way, is only so effective. So in terms of the candidate side, the recruiter license is always better, but there is ways around doing the client and candidate stuff with Sales Nav, because Sales Nav is a lot better for client attraction rather than anything else.
Yeah, which I suppose is kind of, you know, the closing the title, I suppose, really. I think all this information is really interesting. I've got one final thing that I want to talk to you about that we have to talk about in every conversation that we have with everybody at the minute, and that's AI. You know, we have to either lead with it or end with it. There's still the Calendly link for Jem up at the top here. And so if you're listening to this and you're thinking this is great, you want to know more about Sales Nav, you want to know more about how those workarounds, maybe how can I use Sales Nav for candidates and clients, then do get in touch with Jem. Right. Talk to us about AI then, and how that's kind of impacting, I suppose, what we do and how we do it, especially around kind of LinkedIn. Because we all want to like save time, right? But still be really effective.
So the thing is, a lot of people are using AI at the moment. You'll have seen there's been an influx in content that's talking about secret sauce and trailblazers and things, a bullet point. But it has a place, but people forget it's a tool. And it's only as good as the information that you actually put into it. So if you're spurting generic
rubbish,
then that's what it's going to spit out. However, if you do things like pumping in emails and conversations that you've actually had and give it a real feel for who you are as a person, I'm not saying it's not going to need any tailoring. It is if you're using something like chat. There's always going to be a bit of tweaking. So it has got a place. It can help, but it helps. It doesn't do it all for you, and it's only as good as the information that you're pumping into it. I am at the moment working with a company called Easy, who have created an AI platform that is specifically for this. So it's about that social side, and I'm working with them now to ensure that the posts that it's spitting out are optimally optimized. I can't speak today. for every platform. So by that, I mean, it's got the right amount of hashtags on, the right keywords in the hashtags are being used for each platform. The content's being written in a way where it's actually true to the business. So the content that it creates, the tone of voice, we're feeding it all that information from the website. It's something that we're working on together. So we'll have an onboarding call, and actually that tone of voice stuff will all get pumped into it. So actually it'll get to a point where you can actually say, just approve all this stuff. I don't actually need to change anything, because that one is going to be learning from you. And there will be more information on that in the next couple of weeks when I've just finalized some bits. So it will be launched then. But yeah, that's a great little tool that can actually help you have an online presence where you don't have to think about it too much, because it is going to be learning from you and it is going to be adapting to your tone of voice. And it's been specifically designed for this. Chat's not been designed for this, and a lot of people use it for that, which is why platforms like that are only as good as the information that you're putting into them. I'm not saying this one's not the same in that aspect, but there's people like me that's helping in the background to make sure it's having the right stuff put into it, because there is absolutely a place for AI. It does make everything easier. There is people that can't use companies like us to outsource their content because they might be moving quite quickly. So things change at the drop of a hat. With things like payroll solutions, as an example, there's been recent legislation that's dropped and that needs to be published straight away. Things like, I completely forgot where I was going with that one. I waffle, sorry.
I know what your brain is like though, Jem. So it's just not losing the tab that you've got open. If there's 7 other tabs waiting for you to click on them. It'll come back to you. Let me ask you one more question. What's your thoughts around using automation to connect with and message people? Because again, sometimes that can go to the spam side, can't it?
So it depends. So with LinkedIn, even if you've got a paid account, if you're blasting out 60, 70 connection requests a day, then it's going to turn around to you at the end of that day and say, well, hang on a minute, you've sent too many, you're not sending any more this week. And if you get too many of those notifications, then what's going to happen is LinkedIn's going to stop you from adding anyone without an email address because you're spamming people. So automation, absolutely you can use it, but make sure it's acting like a human. So make sure it's actually sending no more than 20, 25 connection requests a day, as an example. And remember that actually when you're automating things, that the amount, so say you're doing it personalized, you're liking that person's post, you're commenting, you're checking the profile out, you're sending a connection, then you're sending a message. Actually, the acceptance rate doing it that way is going to be higher than automating it. It's just whether or not you've got time and just accepting that that's a fact. So if you're going to get about 50% acceptance rate if you do it the way where you're actually taking the time to get to know people, but you're still going to get roughly around 20-25% if you don't and you automate it. But again, make sure that automation's acting like a human. Don't send any more than 20-25 a day. Slow everything down so it's slowly working its way through like a person would, and make sure you're not in your account when it's actually running. Because if there's 2 people actually in that account, then that's when it may flag. So yeah, it is against LinkedIn's terms and conditions, and I will make that abundantly clear. But they're not just going to go, that's it, you're never using your account again because you did this, you're bad. And you're bad and you're banned. It'll be you've done this and you went wrong, and you go, oh yeah, I'm really, really sorry. Okay, don't do it again then.
Okay, very cool. We are bang out of time, which is that's insane. That like 30 minutes. There's so much content in that 30 minutes. And this is what I mean about you, is that you don't kind of hold back. Literally, if anyone is watching this, that 30 minutes is going to be, just a very useful 30 minutes. This show has been recorded, so it will forever live on our platform, and it will forever live on YouTube as well. And we're going to send it out to all of our clients at iIntro as well, because LinkedIn is one of those things that I think people are forever trying to get their heads around. So thank you, Gemma. Massively appreciate you coming on today. Again, like I said, I think it's been massively beneficial. Anyone who's listening or listening back to the recording, if you want to get in touch with Gem, just find her on LinkedIn. You can't miss her. Trust me, once you've looked at her profile, she'll be everywhere. The algorithms all over the place. So do find her, do link in with her, and pop her a message if you think that she might be able to help you with your social media, or if you just want to outsource your social media over to them. because they are really, really good at what they do. We've got another show coming up in a couple of weeks, so fortnightly shows, which will be our 85th show. And I think when we get to the 100th show, Jen, we're going to have a massive party. I think we should just have everybody on the show, like have 100 people on the show. That'd be very cool. Hey, what?
In person? Do it
in person. We will. We're desperately trying to get us to your networking event in Leeds. We will do it. We'll do it from there. We'll just do a live LinkedIn, a live 100th show. That's actually very good. James is listening now like, oh my God, what are they organising? This is why we shouldn't get together.
Jem acts as a buffer.
Yes, exactly. He's normally there in the middle of us going, no, stop it. Anyway, we get away with it all because he's not here. Jem, thank you so much. I massively appreciate it.
Honestly, you're more than welcome. And yeah, if anyone's got any questions or anything, just drop into my inbox. I'll always answer.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks to those of you who are watching back. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. Bye for now.
Later.
Yo.